This is it, I said, adjusting my tie for the third time. Finally. Noah smirked. You've been saying that for 3 months. I mean it this time, I replied, scanning the room. The soft hum of chatter, clinking glasses, and laughter wrapped around me. My graduation, my friends, my parents, and her. Clara. She stood by the drinks table, smiling, laughing, and completely unaware of the storm I was carrying in my chest. You're staring again, Noah whispered. I can't help it, I admitted. She's perfect. Yeah, until she humiliates you in front of everyone. I laughed nervously. Don't even joke about that. Then it happened. I approached her, heart hammering like a drum in my chest. Clara, I said, voice steady, maybe too steady. She glanced at me, raising an eyebrow. Hey, Ethan. You ready to make a toast? I nodded, pulling the small box from my pocket. Actually, I wanted to ask you something first. The room felt smaller suddenly. Everyone's eyes turned toward us. I knelt slightly, opening the box to reveal the ring I had saved for months. Her eyes widened for a split second. Then she laughed. What's so funny? I asked, confusion twisting into dread. You, she said, the word sharp and cutting. You think this is some kind of romantic gesture? I froze. I wanted to. Attleman stepped beside her. Liam. I recognized him instantly from the pictures I had glimpsed on social media, the one Clara had met during her business trip. Oh, Ethan, Clara continued, ignoring my words. You're adorable, really. But I can't do this right now. Noah, what's happening? I muttered under my breath. Before I could react, she grabbed Liam's hand and walked away, leaving me rooted to the spot. Gasps filled the room. Whispers. Some people laughed nervously, unsure what to do. I wanted to shout. To chase. To pull her back and demand she explain herself. But my legs refused to move. Noah was beside me in an instant. Ethan. Come on. I shook my head. I can't. You need to leave before you say something you regret, he said firmly. Trust me. I let him guide me out, my pride shredded, my chest tight. The night that was supposed to be perfect had turned into a nightmare. Outside, the cool air hit me like a slap. I coughed, trying to catch my breath. I don't get it, I said finally, voice breaking. Why? Noah shook his head. Some people, they aren't worth the heartbreak, Ethan. Not now. Not ever. I thought I knew her, I muttered, staring at the street lights, trying to focus, trying to make sense. I trusted her. I believed in us. You did, Noah said softly. And that's the point. You believed. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. I laughed bitterly. Human doesn't get walked on. Human doesn't get mocked in front of all their friends and family. Human doesn't. Sure, Noah interrupted, placing a hand on my shoulder. You're not thinking straight. Let's just go home. Breathe. Tomorrow, we deal with it. I nodded mutely, following him to the car. The sound of her laughter haunted me as we drove. I replayed the scene in my mind, every step she took away from me, every smile she gave to him. Every part of that moment carved itself into my memory. Back at my apartment, I stood alone in my room, staring at the ceiling. My parents had called, my phone buzzing with messages from friends, but I couldn't respond. Not yet. Not while my thoughts were consumed by the woman who had just destroyed my heart. I sank onto the couch, head in my hands. Why did I think she was different? I whispered to the empty room. Why did I trust her? Noah's words replayed in my mind. Some people, they aren't worth the heartbreak. I wanted to hate him for being right, but I couldn't. Hours later, I still couldn't sleep. Every laugh, every whispered joke from the party echoed in my head. Every glance from Liam felt like a punch. I thought about confronting Clara. About telling her how much she had broken me. About demanding answers. But I knew it wouldn't help. It never does. Instead, I sat at my desk and opened my laptop, staring at the blank page as if writing could make sense of the chaos inside me. Finally, I typed one line, "How could you do this to me?" It wasn't a question I expected to answer. Not tonight. Not ever. I leaned back in my chair, exhausted, hollow, and defeated. The night that was supposed to celebrate my achievements had rewritten my life. Everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and loyalty lay in ruins. And I didn't know if I could ever put it back together. My phone kept buzzing, lights flashing like tiny alarms. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Each call was another reminder that she didn't care, that she didn't even notice me anymore. Ethan? Are you okay? My mother's voice broke through the silence. I looked up from the couch, eyes hollow. Grace sat across from me, her hands folded nervously. I guess. You don't guess. You're devastated. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back. Mom, I told you. I'll be fine. You say that, but you barely eat. You barely sleep. Your father is worried, your friends are worried. I said I'll be fine, I repeated, sharper this time. She sighed, not pushing further. I hated the pity in her eyes. It made the pain worse. Noah called the next day. Ethan, we need to talk. Get out of that apartment. I can't. I don't know. My voice cracked. You need air. You need normal people. I'm coming over. I let him in an hour later. He shook his head when he saw me sprawled on the couch, clothes wrinkled, hair messy, dishes piling up. You look like a disaster. I feel like one, I muttered. He crouched in front of me. Ethan, you need to hear this. Forgetting her isn't easy. But sitting here won't make it happen. I wanted to scream. Do you have any idea what it's like? Every corner of this apartment smells like her perfume. Her laugh echoes in my head. I can't, Noah, stop. I buried my face in my hands. He sat silently for a moment, then said softly, Sophie called today. She saw her with Liam. I froze. My stomach twisted. What do you mean? She's out there, Ethan. Walking around, smiling with him like nothing happened. You need to know. I shook my head violently. I don't want to know. I don't, you have to. His voice was firm. She moved on. She's happy without you. Accept it or it'll destroy you. The words hit me like ice water. I sat in silence, staring at the wall. My hands shook. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even focus on my emails for work. Mom tried again that evening. She brought over some soup, smiling gently. Eat something, honey. Just a little. I pushed the bowl away. I can't, Mom. You have to take care of yourself, she said, eyes misty. I know it hurts, but don't let her take everything from you. I turned to her, voice low. Everything is gone already. She took it all. My pride, my trust, my heart. I'm sorry, Ethan. I wish I could fix it. I know, I whispered. I couldn't look at her anymore. The pity was unbearable. Noah came over again the next morning. You're sinking deeper every day. This stops now. We're going out. I don't want to go anywhere, I said, but he grabbed my coat. You will. You need air. You need people who care about you. You need life. Later, Sophie showed up at the cafe we went to. Her eyes were hesitant, but she didn't sugarcoat anything. Ethan, she began softly. Clara, she's with Liam. Everywhere, Ethan. She's flaunting it. I felt bile rise. She's flaunting it? Yes. She's laughing, dating, posting pictures. She doesn't regret a thing. I swallowed hard. Why? Why does it hurt so much? Because you loved her, Ethan. Because you trusted her. You gave everything. I stared at the table, silent. My hands shook as I gripped my cup. I want to hate her. I want to forget. I can't. Sophie placed a hand on mine. It's okay. One step at a time. That night, I sat at my desk, writing letters I would never send. Every word was a scream, a whisper, a plea. I told her everything I wished I could say aloud. I told her about my shame, my heartbreak, my anger. And I told myself to survive. Noah came by late, noticing the stack of papers. You're not gonna mail these, right? No, I said quietly, eyes wet. I just need to get it out. You're alive, Ethan. That's what matters. You're still here. I nodded, staring at the ceiling. Each letter was a lifeline, a thread keeping me from falling entirely into despair. Clara's laughter haunted my mind as I folded the last sheet. But for the first time, I wrote not to her, but to myself, hold on. Survive. You'll get through this. The apartment felt empty, but for once, I didn't feel completely alone. I hardly recognized the man in the mirror. Dark circles framed hollow eyes, clothes wrinkled, hair falling into my face. 3 months. 3 months since that night, and I had disappeared from the world. I quit my job, stopped returning calls, avoided everyone. My apartment felt like a cage, the walls echoing her laughter. Noah burst in one morning, dragging me by the arm. "Ethan. We're leaving. Right now." "I can't," I muttered. I'm fine here." "You're a mess," he said flatly. "Cafe. Coffee. People. You need life, Ethan." I allowed myself to be pulled along, sulking the whole way. The cafe smelled faintly of roasted beans, warm and alive. Noah found a corner table, waving for me to sit. I slumped in the chair, staring at the floor. "Why are we here? What's the point?" "You might see something different," he said, eyes serious. I ignored him. I didn't need anything different. I didn't need life. Then I noticed her. Not Clara, thankfully, but a woman at the corner table. She sat quietly, typing on her laptop, headphones resting on her ears. She didn't look up, didn't flinch at my presence, but something in her posture made me pause. "She looks," I started. "Focus on her face, not your thoughts," Noah muttered. I did. Sharp, attentive eyes, a calm presence that seemed almost magnetic. She glanced up briefly, and our eyes met. She nodded, polite but not pitying. Noah nudged me. "Go. Talk. Don't stare." I shook my head. "I can't." You're pathetic if you don't," he interrupted, grinning. I swallowed, walking over. "Hi," I said, awkwardly. She looked at me, unflinching. "Hi." I hesitated, then tried again. I'm Ethan." "Maya," she replied simply, returning to her laptop. I leaned against the table. I think you saw me in some photos." She glanced up, studying me. "You looked like a man who gave everything to someone who didn't deserve it." The words hit me harder than I expected. What? "You didn't hear me wrong. You gave everything. You trusted. You loved. And it hurt you because the other person didn't value it." I felt my chest tighten. "How do you know?" "Call it instinct," she said lightly. "Or maybe I just recognize pain when it walks in, uninvited." I laughed bitterly. Uninvited is right. Life didn't exactly ask my permission for any of this. "Life never does," she said, looking back at her screen. "But you survived. That's more than most can say." "Survived?" I echoed. "I feel hollow. Empty. Broken." She smiled faintly. "Broken doesn't mean defeated. Look at me, I'm broken too. But I keep going." "I don't know if I can," I admitted. "Then start small. One step at a time. You've been hiding from the world for months. You can't heal without stepping out." I considered her words, staring at my reflection in the dark window beside her. She was right. I wasn't just hurt by Clara. I was angry at the version of myself that depended on her, that let her control my happiness. Noah's voice broke my thoughts. "See? Told you. You need people like her. Not pity, real talk." I nodded slowly. "She's different." "Different is good," Maya said, finally closing her laptop. "Don't mistake kindness for weakness. Learn from it. Let it guide you." I guess I've been hating more than her," I admitted quietly. "I hate the man I was. The one who needed her to exist." "That's the first step," she said. "Recognizing yourself is the first step to changing your story." Noah clapped me on the back. Finally. Something useful coming out of this mess. I laughed softly, a sound I hadn't heard in months. Maybe it's time I stopped letting her define me. Maya looked at me, eyes steady and unwavering. "Define yourself, Ethan. Not her. Not anyone else." I stared at her, absorbing every word. For the first time in months, I felt a small spark of clarity. Not happiness. Not peace yet. But a start. "Thank you," I whispered. "For being honest." "Don't thank me. Thank yourself when you start acting on it." I nodded, letting the words sink in. Maybe I didn't need her approval anymore. Maybe I didn't even need her memory to haunt me. I had work to do. On myself. On this broken version of me. Noah leaned back, smirking. "See? Told you. Cafe therapy works." I chuckled, watching Maya return to her laptop, calm and composed. Somehow, meeting her, not Clara, made the world seem slightly less suffocating. I was still broken, still learning. But Noah insisted I meet Maya again. "Trust me, Ethan. She's good for you. Not in a cheesy love way. Just perspective." I shrugged, still wary. I don't need perspective. I need to forget Clara. You can't forget by hiding, he said. Go. Just go. So I did. We sat at the cafe, Maya quietly sketching photos on her laptop, headphones around her neck. I didn't say much at first, just observed her focus. You know, she said without looking up, pain teaches differently than joy. What does that mean? I asked. That the cracks in our hearts let light in if we notice it, she replied, eyes finally meeting mine. Most people just cry in the dark. I laughed bitterly. I've been crying in the dark for months. Then maybe it's time you notice the light, she said softly. I glanced at her camera bag. You shoot photos? She smiled. Yeah. Mostly people, sometimes streets. Mostly feelings, not poses. Can you teach me? I asked tentatively. Her eyes twinkled. Only if you promise to actually look, not just aim and click. Over the next few weeks, we met several times. She didn't push, didn't ask about Clara. She just handed me a camera and said, see what's around you. I framed shots of empty streets, sunlight on cracked sidewalks, people laughing in the distance. For the first time in months, I noticed beauty where I expected none. See this, she said one afternoon, pointing to a photo I took of a puddle reflecting the sky. Even broken reflections can be beautiful. I nodded, swallowing hard. I think I'm starting to breathe again. You're starting to notice yourself, not just her, she said with a knowing smile. It was subtle, almost imperceptible. But I laughed for the first time without feeling hollow. Small, quiet chuckles that felt foreign but real. Then one evening, my phone rang. Clara. I stared at it, heart beating unevenly. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of silence, and now she calls. I ignored it. Stared at the screen until it went to voicemail. Maya noticed. She called? Yeah, I muttered. And I didn't answer. Good, she said simply. You're learning. That's progress. Later that night, I stared at my old photo albums. Pictures of us together. Laughter frozen in time. Memories that cut like knives. I hesitated, hand hovering over the delete button. I can't, you can, Maya said gently, voice in my mind as I clicked. One by one, the images vanished. A pang of grief hit me, sharp but fleeting. And then, relief. Freedom. I sank into my chair, exhaling like I'd been holding my breath for years. It hurts, I whispered. But it feels right. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the curtains. Warm, soft, not blinding. I let it touch my face, not flinch, not shrink away. No cold. Feeling better? I think. I'm starting to, I said, watching a bird land on the balcony. It's strange. Peaceful. Almost normal. Maya walked in later, carrying her camera. Morning, she said. Ready to shoot? I nodded. Yeah. I want to capture the light today. She grinned. Good. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for feeling. I raised the camera, framing her smiling face, then the sunlit street, then the reflections in puddles. Every shot reminded me that life was bigger than pain, bigger than Clara, bigger than the versions of myself that had been broken. You're healing, she said softly. I think so, I replied. I'm still me, but different. Stronger. More aware. She nodded. That's all anyone can ask for. For the first time in months, I didn't feel haunted. I felt present. Alive. And for the first time, I realized that forgetting her didn't mean erasing my past. It meant living in the present without letting her control my heart anymore. I looked around the cafe, at the sunlight, at people laughing, at the world continuing beyond my grief. I smiled. Not bitter, not forced. Just real. Maybe this was how breathing again felt. The studio door creaked open. I looked up from my sketches, expecting a client or delivery. Instead, there she was. Clara. I froze. Ethan, her voice was soft, cracked, desperate. What are you doing here? I asked, trying to keep my tone even. I need to talk. She stepped inside, eyes wide and tearful. Please, just 5 minutes. I gestured toward a chair. Sit. She sank into it, fingers twisting in her lap. I messed up. I know I did. Liam, he cheated. He left me with everything. I'm ruined. I clenched my jaw. Months of healing flashed before my eyes. The nights I cried alone, the meals I skipped, the hollow ache in my chest. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of humiliation. I made a mistake, Ethan, she said. I want another chance. I shook my head slowly. You left me once. That's all it took. She blinked, stunned. You can't just watch me, I said quietly. Her voice trembled. I never realized. I was wrong. I see it now. I see what I threw away. Please, I'm begging you. I stayed silent, letting her words fill the room, letting them fade against the calm I had built over months. You don't understand, she whispered, covering her face. I can't lose you again. I need you. I stood, walking toward the window. Rain pelted the glass outside. The world seemed gray, muted, almost sympathetic to the moment. I didn't need her. Not anymore. You were desperate then, I said, voice steady. And now you're desperate again. It doesn't change anything. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Ethan. No, I shook my head. You left. That's all it took. You left me at the lowest point of my life. You mocked me, abandoned me, and chose someone else. That isn't something I can forget or forgive. Her shoulders shook. Please? I can't live like this. I love you. I turned fully to her. You don't. You loved the version of me that depended on you. That man is gone. She gasped. Gone? You're different. I had to be, I said firmly. Because I refused to break completely. Because I refused to let your betrayal define me. Her hands fell to her knees. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was losing. You did, I said. And yet you chose to leave anyway. That choice is yours to live with. Not mine. Her voice was barely audible. You hate me. I shook my head. No. I don't hate you. I pity the person who thought breaking me would hurt me forever. That person no longer exists. She sobbed, trembling in the chair. Ethan, please, I swallowed, a strange calm settling in me. My chest no longer ached, my hands no longer shook. I looked at her, really looked, and felt nothing. Only clarity, only control. I won't undo what you did, I said. I won't erase the past for you. You left, and that was enough. That's all it took. The words seemed to break her completely. Her sobs shook the studio. I watched, detached, as the woman I once loved crumbled under the weight of her own mistakes. She whispered, I'll never forget. I nodded slowly. Good. Some lessons need to be remembered. Some pains need to remain yours. She bowed her head, defeated. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. I finally walked to my desk, picking up a pencil. Say nothing. I've heard enough. And honestly, I'm done listening. A long silence filled the studio. Her presence lingered, but the fear, the longing, the power she once held over me, it was gone. Noah had been right. I was no longer the same man. I had risen from the ashes of my own despair, stronger, calmer, unbroken by her manipulation. She finally left, door clicking shut behind her. I exhaled, letting the tension drain. I felt the first real weightlessness I'd known in months. I sat back down, picking up my sketches. Rain streaked the window, and the city moved on outside. I realized something profound. I could have closure without forgiveness, strength without revenge, and peace without her. The past was gone. I was still here. And that was enough. Weeks passed, and word about Clara spread fast. I didn't need to chase news. Friends, clients, even strangers whispered her downfall. Sophie texted first. Did you hear? Clara's company is collapsing. Liam vanished. She's selling her car. I stared at the message, my chest tightening, not with satisfaction, but with disbelief. Really? I asked Noah later, over coffee. Yep, he said, smirking. Funny, isn't it? The one who left you for him is struggling while you're you. I shrugged. It doesn't feel like revenge. Not really. It's just life catching up. You're thriving, Noah said, eyes glinting. Your studio's growing. You're different. I smiled faintly, brushing a hand over the table. I think that's thanks to Maya. She pushed me when I didn't even know I could stand. Good, he said. Good for her, good for you. Later, as rain poured over the city, I closed my studio for the night. Maya had left earlier, promising to meet me tomorrow for a photography walk. I stepped outside, the cold rain soaking my jacket. That's when I saw her. Clara. Alone, struggling with papers and an umbrella she didn't have. Her hair plastered to her face, eyes scanning for shelter. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to look away, but another part, calm, confident, stepped forward. "Hey," I called, raising my voice slightly over the rain. She looked up, startled. Recognition flickered across her face, quickly replaced by uncertainty. I need her," she started, but I cut her off. "Here," I said, lifting my umbrella. "Take this." You, just take it," I interrupted, smiling gently. "You're soaking wet." She stared at me, words caught in her throat. For a moment, I saw the girl who had laughed at me, the one who had once mocked my dreams. And then I saw the woman now, broken, humbled, real. "Thanks," she whispered, barely audible. "You're welcome," I said. No sarcasm. No bitterness. Just calm. She didn't ask for more, and I didn't offer. The rain continued to fall, pattering against the umbrella. The silence between us was heavy but not suffocating. "Your company," I said carefully. "It's over, I hear?" Her lips trembled. "Yes. Everything I worked for, gone. Liam, his disappeared. I don't know what to do." I nodded. "Sometimes, that's what life does. It teaches lessons we didn't want." She began, but I cut her off again. "You're here, standing," I said. "That's already more than some manage. Own it, figure it out, but don't expect forgiveness." She looked down, tears mixing with rain. I hurt you." You did," I agreed. "But this isn't about revenge. Revenge doesn't heal. Self-respect does. I've learned that." She flinched at my calm certainty. I thought hurting you would what?" I asked softly. "Change me? Break me?" "It didn't. I've grown. I've rebuilt. You left, and I survived." Asmal, bitter laugh escaped her. "And, you're happy?" I tilted my head, studying the puddles on the street reflecting neon lights. "I am. Not because she failed," I said, not pointing at her. "But because I didn't let her define me. Because I reclaimed myself." She swallowed, nodding silently. The rain was relentless, but the umbrella covered her, and me, too. Somehow, it felt symbolic. I was shielding myself not from her, but from the past. "You look different," she murmured. "Calm. Strong." I smiled faintly. I had to be. I realized I don't need closure from anyone. Not her, not Liam, not the world. Some questions don't deserve answers. She blinked, unsure what to say next. Finally, she muttered, "I wish I could." "You can wish," I said. "Just remember, wishing doesn't change what's done. Learning does. Moving on does." She nodded again, wordless. I offered a final nod, then turned, walking away under the rain. My boots splashed in puddles, but it didn't matter. Each step felt lighter than the last. The studio lights glowed behind me, warm and steady. My mind wasn't haunted. My heart wasn't heavy. I was moving forward, fully present, fully me. By the time I reached my apartment, I realized something profound. I didn't need her apology. I didn't need her regret. I didn't even need closure. I had everything I needed inside me: dignity, strength, and calm. And maybe that was the quietest, most satisfying justice of all. I stepped inside, closing the door, watching the rain streak the glass. Outside, life moved on. Inside, I breathed. Truly breathed. Karma had done its work, but it didn't matter. My work, my healing, my peace, that was mine. For the first time in months, I smiled genuinely. Not for her, not for Noah, not for the world. For me. And that was enough. I was cleaning my desk when I found it, a folded piece of paper, corners frayed, ink slightly smudged. My handwriting stared back at me. A letter I had written to Clara months ago, right after she walked away. I held it, feeling the weight of old pain. Part of me wanted to burn it, tear it, forget it entirely. But instead, I unfolded it carefully and sat down. "Why are you still here?" I whispered to myself. "Why am I holding on to this?" Then an idea struck me. I wouldn't send it to her. I wouldn't even let her know it existed. I would rewrite it, to the version of me who hurt the most, who cried every night, who lost himself. I picked up a fresh sheet. "Dear me," I began, voice barely audible, "thank you. Thank you for surviving, for holding on, for not giving up even when it felt impossible. You didn't know how strong you were, but you are. You will be. I paused, letting the words sink in. The pencil moved almost by itself, tracing each letter with care. You will learn, I continued, that the person who left didn't define your worth. The pain you feel now is temporary, but the lessons last forever. Keep breathing, keep living, keep rebuilding. One day, you will look back and see that it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. I leaned back, rereading the letter. It was comforting, honest, a conversation between the man I had been and the man I was becoming. Thank you, I whispered again, closing my eyes. Thank you for letting me survive. Weeks later, I attended a friend's wedding. The hall was warm, filled with music, laughter, clinking glasses. I moved through the crowd, smiling at familiar faces, my heart light. And then I saw her. Clara. Across the room, her gaze flitted over me, hesitant. I felt a flicker of something, memory? Anger? But it vanished as quickly as it came. You look happy, she whispered as I passed, voice barely audible over the music. I stopped for a moment, meeting her eyes, not with resentment, not with longing, but with calm certainty. Because I learned how to be, I said softly, without you. Her lips parted, eyes wide, but she said nothing. She couldn't meet me. And I didn't expect her to. The night passed. I laughed, danced, and felt a freedom I hadn't known in years. Later, I stepped outside, the river glimmering under the moonlight. My hand brushed the letter in my pocket, the one I had rewritten for myself. I held it over the water, watching the ripples catch the light. This is for you, I murmured, thinking of my past self. All of it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every piece of pain. I dropped the paper. It floated briefly, then sank, disappearing under the dark current. I exhaled slowly, feeling a strange lightness. The weight of the past, of her, of what I had lost, was gone, or at least, it no longer controlled me. Noah had called earlier, asking if I wanted to meet for coffee tomorrow. I smiled, thinking of the simple plans, the ordinary moments. Yeah, I said aloud, to no one in particular. Tomorrow sounds perfect. I turned back to the city lights reflecting on the river, shimmering and fragmented, yet beautiful. The world continued, indifferent yet full of possibilities. And for the first time in a long time, I felt entirely at peace. Clara was no longer a shadow in my mind. She was a passing figure in a chapter that had ended. I didn't hate her. I didn't miss her. I didn't even think of revenge. I only thought of me, the man who had survived, learned, and let go. The man who could breathe without remembering every sting of betrayal. And as I walked back toward the wedding hall, the cool night air brushing against my face, I knew it truly. Letting go doesn't erase the past, it frees you from it. I smiled, genuinely, fully, and I felt it in my chest, calm, solid, unshakable. The letter was gone, the pain was gone, and I was finally, completely, free. Months had passed, and life had settled into a rhythm I hadn't known I could feel. Not the chaos of heartbreak, not the gnawing emptiness, but something softer, steadier. Peaceful, even. Maya and I had grown close, not in the way people fall in love, but in a way two healed people recognize each other. I don't think you realize how much you've changed, she said one morning, adjusting the lens of my camera. I think I'm finally seeing myself, I replied, trying to sound casual, though my chest tightened with the weight of truth. She gave me a small smile, quiet but genuine. Good. That's exactly what matters. Not who left, not who hurt you, just who you are now. I nodded, focusing on the shot. The sunlight caught the edges of her hair, and I realized that for the first time in months, I wasn't comparing her to Clara. Not once. Later, I walked past the cafe where I'd met Maya. The familiar smell of coffee hit me, warm and inviting. Laughter floated through the air, soft, familiar, like it had always belonged here. I paused, taking it all in. Funny, I muttered to myself. I used to hate this place. It reminded me of everything I lost. A barista called out my name. Hey, Ethan. Haven't seen you in a while. I smiled, walking over. Yeah, it's been a while. Busy with the studio. Sure looks like it, she said, nodding toward the street where my small design studio had grown into something respectable. You look different. Different how? I asked, curious. Calm, she said immediately. Happy. Like someone who finally stopped carrying someone else's weight. I laughed softly, shaking my head. You could say that. It's a good feeling. I stepped outside, coffee in hand, letting the sounds of the city fill me. No thought of Clara came. Not anger, not longing, not bitterness. Only indifference. You really don't think about her anymore? Noah asked later, joining me for a walk. I shook my head. No. I think about me, about my choices, about where I want to go. She's irrelevant now. The only thing I remember is that I survived and rebuilt myself. He chuckled. That's powerful, man. Really powerful. It's not about being powerful, I replied. It's about being free. Free from what I thought I needed, free from the past, free from the shadows of people who couldn't see my worth. That night, I looked into the mirror I once feared. The reflection staring back wasn't hollow, wasn't broken, wasn't desperate. It was calm. Whole. Free. You made it, I whispered to myself. You're here, and you survived. You're really here. Maya called later. Want to meet for a late walk, she asked. Yeah, I said, and smiled. I could use some air. We walked side by side, words minimal, comfortable. She didn't try to probe the past, and I didn't feel the need to share it. Just being there, present, was enough. You know, she said, glancing at me, I think this is your happiest version. Not because of anyone else. Just, you. I think you're right, I admitted. For the first time, it's really me. No Clara, no mistakes, no ghosts. Just me. Asmal's laugh escaped her. You look lighter. Like you're finally walking without holding a backpack full of stones. Exactly, I said. And I've learned something important. What's that? She asked, curious. That forgetting someone doesn't mean erasing them. It means their absence no longer hurts. That's all. Nothing more. Nothing less. We paused near a bridge overlooking the river. I thought of the letter I'd thrown months ago, the one I rewrote to my past self. The water had carried it away, and with it, every fragment of pain, every shred of longing. I never thought I'd feel this calm again, I said. Like the storm has passed, and I can finally breathe without thinking of what was lost. Maya nodded. You earned this, Ethan. You rebuilt yourself. That's more than anyone can ask for. As we walked back, the city lights reflected on puddles, shimmering like fragmented memories. I realized I wasn't haunted anymore. Not by her, not by Liam, not by what I had believed was my failure. I looked at the mirror in the cafe window as we passed by. My reflection was steady, eyes bright with clarity. I recognized him, me, the man who laughed, who walked forward, who lived for himself. You ready for coffee? Maya asked, nudging me gently. Yeah, I said, smiling fully. For the first time, it wasn't a shadow of a smile. It was complete, grounded, and mine. I had rewritten my destiny, not with revenge, not with bitterness, not with anyone else's validation. I had rewritten it with patience, strength, and self-respect. And that night, as I lay in bed thinking of the months behind me, I felt it settle in my chest, calm, full, unshakable. The pain was gone. The past was gone. Only me remained, finally whole. Maya's voice floated in my memory, warm and soft. This is your happiest version. Yes. It was. And I knew, without a doubt, it would stay that way.